Okay, 'cause this is all right. We're gonna go into Tempest character here. Okay, so probably this is events are probably one of the coolest things in this game. An opportunity for even more fun, and also one of the biggest letdowns as well. Primarily because it has huge opportunity that I see as unfortunately causing player suffering, which as a game developer you would want to avoid. And I don't believe a badly designed system means that it's fun. Some people will misconstrue difficulty or hardship with fun. Difficult games are fun. Like we just said, there's many different types of players. Each player uh, type has their own definition of fun. So we're gonna pop up here in town now. We're gonna pop up to the event gate. This is something everyone should be aware about because this thing is pretty well designed. Pretty well designed because they combine, right? When any, and this isn't just for games, it's for any sort of software development or any sort of creative development. But I will say, when designing a game feature, think back onto the character types. Are you designing a feature for achievers? Are you designing a feature for socializers? Okay. It would be great if you could design a feature for two of those quadrants at the same time, right? Because normally I would have to design a feature for this group and then a second feature for this group when you use twice the amount of coding, twice the amount of testing, whatever. But if I can do a feature that pleases both groups of people, well, that's great. It's one set of code, one set of tests, and when it triggers, both groups of people will participate. Because typically people do not engage in features that they don't like, meaning that like I or not if one doesn't like to socialize, right? They don't actually care about being part of a guild. Then you've put all this time and effort into building a guild system that this player will never engage in. And what percentage of your player base are, non-socializers, right? This is, you want to keep this in mind. So when it comes to events, I recognized, oh wow, this is a very well designed thing because it appeals to both categories of um, socializers and I would say a, achievers at at the same time. The way events work is we have to, let's see, let me click on this gate and see how far along are we. Okay, here we go. This event is the Sacred Wilds, which is the default event. It is triggered when 100 of these global little shards are handed in. And during things like Valentine's Day, Christmas time, these things are themed, which is fantastic, right? People love it when there's that sort of stuff. That right there goes to like explorers, right? Because you've now taken a city and changed a bit, and that's appealing. That's wonderful. This right here to trigger this quest is a group activity. Rarely, very rarely will someone have all 100. Oh yeah, achievers. Yeah. Oh right, because you get different skins. I forgot about that. See, the achiever part of me didn't care about that. On Halloween, you can get a pumpkin head piece of equipment. On Valentine's Day, you can get a new skin, right? The achiever, the collector, right? Some people love collecting stuff. They want all the mounts, or they want all the items of a sword, or sorry, all the items of a set. or they want all the skins in the game, all the special collectibles. Those are achievers, right? Oh, you have that thing. Look what I have. I've got this from Halloween, I've got this from Thanksgiving, I've got this from Christmas, I've got this from Valentine's Day, right? Look at all the stuff I have. Aren't I cool? I feel good about myself. That's how that whole player psychology works, and you do want to enable that. It gets those people playing your game. Um, this right here is a group activity. When a certain threshold is met, um, this thing opens, and where we find these triangle objects is scattered throughout the entire game whenever a certain amount of money is or a certain amount of money is spent in the game, or in your daily your you get a kind of a login bonus, right? A lot of games have incentives for you to return to the game. You get a daily login bonus, and inside that bag is one of these things. If you're a subscriber, then on Tuesdays you get a chest, and inside there I think it's five of these things. So these accumulate. But if we wanted to trigger this right now, I could chip in 10, another player could chip in 10, someone will chip in 15, someone will chip in 3, and there's a great sense of coordination on Discord and in the chat, trying to get everyone together. Hey, let's pool all our resources and do this thing together. And unfortunately, this is probably one of the only things that you can do with another player, because this game doesn't have like grouping yet, or anything that was like as simple as like trading. But this is something that like you and another player, you and many other players can accomplish. And it is, to be honest, it was the most fun I ever had in this game was during kind of the Christmas time when we were triggering several events a day, and it was a great amount of fun because just getting it together, coordinating that was a lot of fun. Talking to other people, hey, do you have some? Hey, do you have some of these things? And then we opened the event door, and now inside the event, I love it because every type of gameplay is welcome inside the event. The way the event works is for a 20-minute period of time, you accumulate points. If you are into gathering tasks such as mining or lumberjacking or farming, you can earn points just doing that task. There's a spot to do that task inside the event. If you are a more active player and want to go hunting and combat, there is space for you to find those mobs, and hunt them and accumulate points. So all of a sudden, both types of gameplay, both the active and more the idle gameplay, can work together to achieve a goal, which is awesome. The more both tasks are done, the higher the event score goes. Your final prize at the end of the 20 minutes is based on not only how much you participated, but also how much everyone participated, right? So if I earned, I don't know, 100 points during the course of the event, but collectively we earned 1,000 points, cool. If in the next event collectively we earned 1,500 points, that pool of prizes will be better. 2,000 points, even better. You see that there's a huge incentive to work together with other players, right? This is where socializers are like, oh my gosh. There's a huge incentive to rally people on Discord and in game chat to get into the event because we all win more if we all work together, right? So for achievers, the fact that there's point scores and and how much you can contribute, um, for socializers. There's right a shared winning of prizes. The fact that there are folks that even want event tickets. The prizes you win at after the event, um, is also another form of in-game currency, right? So if you want to use that store, you need this kind of currency. So that's really great. And even so, and this is where like at my highest point, at the most I was enjoying this game, I was even purchasing the premium of the premium purchase. I popped one of these myself. Where is it? The frenzy, because the frenzy decreases the amount of time for your action to execute. So since the event is limited to 20 minutes, if I give everyone in the game a frenzy buff, we're going to do more actions within that 20 minutes. If you get a point per action, now we have a potential of reaching a higher amount of points within that 20 minutes. So I was investing 200 Norroth coins, right? The equivalent of maybe 50 gold, 60 gold per event, just so that everyone else could have fun, myself included, but also everyone else, right? This is where like socializers really like really enjoy an online game, right? Popping that boost for everyone is great. During Twin Eagle's birthday, he had this 30 minutes of global. It's a random global. You don't know what it's going to be. This thing was half price. Instead of 99, I think it was only like 39. I bought like 20 of them. You can go back on Discord. There's a record of me buying just a lot of them, because then everyone benefited. I had a good time in the game when other people were having a good time in the game, right? And this is why I thought events were the best thing ever, because people that wanted to achieve something, wanted to, they were in it. The people that wanted to work together, they were in it. It was cool. Okay, that's great. And that kind of concludes and that's the best part of this game. And now I want to tell you about why it's also one of the things that has frustrated me the most, and why I thought for a long time, well, I still think it, um, that this is probably one of the most poorly designed things. And I say that in terms of, by poor design, I'm thinking about the potential fun a player could have, because as a game developer, that should be your objective. As a secondary objective, as a game developer trying to, as a product developer launching a product, trying to sustain yourself on your product, the potential income you could have by a well-designed feature is also a thing you should consider. I think we all like to imagine fun comes before profit, but let's not forget about profit. Again, I was popping premium purchases for every event had, right? This is now something that, because not solely because I don't do it anymore, but I do notice when they do it now, and I'll talk about why I think this is okay. Why I think this is a such a poorly designed thing. At the end of the 20 minutes, at the end of the 20 minutes, hold on just a second. You do not get rewarded for how well you did. Okay? Let's just, like, this was hard for me to wrap my head around, because I don't think I've ever played a game that had essentially like a quest or an event and then like didn't reward you. To get your reward, you had a 20-minute time period to walk yourself over to a treasure chest and click on that treasure chest. And only then would you get your reward. Okay? Instead of simply rewarding players at the end of the 20 minutes, give them their reward, take them out of the event, return them to town, the timer would run out. And then you would have 20 minutes to walk yourself over to a treasure chest and get your reward. If you didn't, you were removed from the event without any reward, no matter how well you did. And there were a lot of excuses for this, I heard, you know, that the developer doesn't want idle players, wants active players, and this was apparently a way to prove that people were active. Just to be clear, it's within the further 20 minutes of the actual event ends. Yes, so the event is 20 minutes, and then the instance of the event is remains open. You can't enter it anymore, but your character stays in there for up to 20 minutes, and you have 20 minutes to make your way over to that red chest. As someone who idles in this game a lot and has to deal with other real life things all the time, whether they be, uh, you know, kids, meals, etc. I missed that 20-minute window several times because I would go into the event. I would even start the event. I would pop a frenzy, right? So that we did really well at the event. And then I would stay and I would try to stay. And this is a little bit confusing, but it was an actual net loss for my character to leave the high end um, gathering areas to come back to town to do the event because it would cost me to return. It would cost me almost like a premium item to get back to where I was. So I would want to maximize the amount of time I was gathering within the event. And oftentimes I would just stay too long and then get kicked out of the event. The other thing, and it happened today to a player who switched devices. It happened to me once by simply switching a character to check out one of my other characters, and then when I switched back to the one that was in the event, they had been removed. Anyway, for whatever reason, and I don't really care why it's developed the way it is, I really don't. I want to say that as a player, the most important thing to me, and the most important thing I care about other players, is whether or not they're having fun. The most important thing for me as a player is whether or not I'm having fun. As a developer, you want to develop maybe something that's not exploitable or something that's balanced or whatever, cool. But you should also be asking yourself and asking your players, are they having fun? And then the unlucky, oh, and in case you died, if you died and didn't re-enter the event through that magical portal, you were SOL, you were out of luck, right? If you died, yeah, then no reward for you. So this is what I want to say is like they've designed a system that is fun, but then also I've never felt so frustrated or upset with this game than when I participated in one of these events and got nothing to show for it because it felt so poorly defined. There's no reason to make someone lose out. And the game developer acknowledges that because today, after someone else finally complained, he said he's redesigning the thing. So I was really frustrated because I was paying premium currency for the sake of, for the benefit of all. And when I missed my prize, it would be one thing if, you know, and this, I'll be honest, this is a little bit of my own bruised ego. Like, I get it, humans make mistakes, but when the game developer mocks you for his poorly designed thing, that just made me, it's, I guess it's hard to put into words when you actually do care about the game and want the community to grow, and you see this great feature that the player base has never been as active and as chatty and as positive as it was during those winter events. People get really excited for events. And the fact that myself and just anyone else would have a negative experience in this game, it gets to the point where you actually regret doing the event itself. And after the last time, when I was both triggering these um, turning on frenzy so we'd get a great score, and I lost out because I had switched characters. I was actively at the computer, and I have been for most of these things, actively at the computer, and I missed out on the prize because I had switched characters, and it's just like that's the way it's designed. And so I'm like, all right, well then I'm not going to participate anymore. And I'll be honest, like it was pretty obvious, I'm pretty good at mining, number one miner. I have very good stats and very good tools. I won't lie, there was a noticeable drop in the event scores for the next 2 weeks as I just quietly protested participating in events. I didn't show up to any events anymore. I didn't do the frenzy purchase anymore. And that frenzy purchase, that's what I'm talking about with the revenue, right? This was a surefire way, at least for me, to continue to purchase the premium currency to make sure that I was having fun in this particular game, in this particular feature, and to have other people also enjoy their time. Um, and it's not like I'm this this would feel like a pretty pathetic rant video if I was the only one to have suffered from this. But Discord is full of people that have encountered this and have had a negative experience. And I'm like, at what point do you as a game developer recognize that you have made something that is actually making people more unhappy than if they had never stepped into the event to begin with? And it seems like a pretty easy win that not only excites your socializers and achievers, but also causes premium spending because people want to get that high score so much they're willing to spend 200 more coins for. And to be honest, like the prize you get at the end, it's a net loss for me. There's no way the prize from the event makes up for the trigger of the frenzy, but it was something to do with the community, which is the fun of virtual worlds. And the truth is if I can't find that fun socializing in this game, in this virtual world you created, I'll find it somewhere else. World of Warcraft, Lost Ark, whatever. Plenty of Minecraft, plenty of other options out there for virtual worlds that aren't punishing to the player like this. So anyway, I'm hopeful this will change. The developer has mentioned today um, um, a, uh, a new event system, but I don't know. I guess the worst part about it is that some acknowledge, whatever. And sorry, this is just the small like ego side of me right here that I'm trying not to bring up right now, but that's sort of like I don't necessarily need to be right. Um, it's not as subjective. But I mean, I guess it's an opinion based off my player archetype. The way he stopped the design of this stopped me from having fun, and it hurt even more when I saw other people not have fun, especially when I was paying the premium currency or just rallying everyone together. There's a certain thing in the game you can actually spend your gold in like a wishing well to try to get out these fragments to trigger the event, and it just sucks. Um, Having put in that sort of effort to bring the community together and then to be at a loss. So, it is what it is. I don't, and part of the reason about doing these videos, I've tried to give this feedback in the game, in the Discord, you know, who knows? Maybe some of this will trickle in, if not whatever. My hope is that somewhere down the line, it does change. But for people interested in trying the game, I would say absolutely, absolutely. And if you can get to the event, get into the event, do the events, cash out, talk to this little guy up here, this market, where am I? Yeah, this guy up here with the backpack. Oop, no, that's gonna go into. Oh, here's the store, right? Here's all the things you can, and a lot of the stuff you can buy. Um, with other currencies as well. Um, so um, yeah. So anyway, it's just one of those things to keep in mind. Hold on. It's actually the same as going to be an arcade and spending $50 on the claw grabber for a $2 plushie. Right, exactly. Exactly. At a certain point, however much money you've spent, it's going to the carnival, going to any fair, county fair or carnival. It's going to cost you more than that prize you get from it. Absolutely. Versus you just going and buying a stuffed animal is always going to be cheaper. But there's also something fun about that environment, about participating in that environment. A game developer that can figure out how to pull in and have people feel like they are winning or having fun of those different archetypes will be successful. Because not only do this make people come online, right? When you're like, hey, we're doing Valentine's Day for 3 days or whatever, this thing's going to trigger more easily. Or, you know, um, I guess this is the interesting thing. You can go back in Discord and see how many times I started Frenzy. And now, even today, the developer triggers his own event. And then a moment later, the developer makes his own premium purchase for Frenzy. Why? Because without Frenzy, the score stays pretty low. If you want people to have a good time, that score needs to go high, meaning you actually need a fair amount of getting people online, getting them in the game, getting them in the event, right? Um, and instead of me purchasing or another player, instead of a player spending their premium currency, the dev has to trigger it himself. So that's unfortunate because that is a premium purchase that could go to support the game. But because this feature actually ends up being not fun to the point where I avoided it for several weeks, um, and the response is just sort of a whoop, sucks to be you, then part of me is like, well, then we won't do it. And then you're out that purchase and you're out that fun sort of rallying cry to the community. So, um, yeah, that is what it is. So with that, I'll conclude. I think events has the potential. In my opinion, it's where the most fun I've had in this game is. It's also the most frustrating I've ever had in this game. So my hope is that if there is an event version 2, it skews much more to much more fun and much less frustrating. Um, so yeah. So thanks for watching that segment. I'm gonna cut it off.